Hello everyone, welcome to the Comic Review. My name is Eric, and today we're going to take a little trip down to the Smith farm and this week's issue of Superman #1. I believe this is the third volume of Superman, technically. The original series, which started, I believe, in the late 30s, early 40s, was renamed Adventures of Superman, so that was volume 1. Even though it was Adventures of Superman, it then turned into, they then launched a Superman series sometime I think in the 80s or so. So there was those two series. Sometime in the 2000s, the second Superman series was canceled, but they renamed Adventures of Superman back to Superman, so it was still the original volume, but regardless then, that was canceled with New 52. I guess that was technically volume 3, so technically, I believe, someone in the comments can correct me if I'm wrong, but this is actually volume 4. This storyline is titled Son of Superman. It is continuing off of Dan Jurgens' run on Lois and Clark Superman, as well as continuing story beats from the Final Days of Superman storyline and DC Rebirth going into there. So this issue was written by Peter Tomasi and I believe drawn by Patrick Gleason. They were the creative team, I believe, on Batman and Robin during the New 52. So if the art and writing style are familiar to you, that's the reason why. This is that same creative team coming back to do another essentially family-oriented superhero series. Also, if you read Action Comics, the new Action Comics series that started with Rebirth, this is kind of where continuity is going to get a little jumbled, because that first issue showed the Kents, or the Smiths, and I apologize if I called them the Whites in that interview, or in that review, because I believe that's what they were called in Lois and Clark. But in this one, they're now the Smiths. Still Clark, Lois, and Jonathan, but they're the Smiths now. And in this issue, they've already established the Kent, or the Smith farm. The issue starts with a lightning strike that they're now having to rebuild the family farm, to which, if you were reading Action Comics, they've just moved in. So most likely this issue, or this storyline, I would almost say takes place, if you're trying to find any kind of continuity in these books, which one of the things DC said was there should have been strong continuity in the books now, but I would almost say that this storyline is going to take place after the current storyline in Action Comics. So before we get to the fire at the family barn, we are going to start with the beginning of this issue, where Clark is kind of doing another eulogy moment over the New 52 Superman who passed away, which I'm really hoping this is kind of the final, no pun intended, I really hope this is the final nail in the coffin for major references to the New 52 Superman for now, especially his death. Because we've got it, his death itself in Final Days of Superman. We got some of it in DC Rebirth. We got it in Superman Rebirth. I don't think we mentioned it in Action Comics, but this is just one more reference to the fact that the New 52 Superman is dead, and our new Superman is now deciding to be out of the shadows and take on the mantle of Superman once again. And we see that classic shots, 2-page spread of basically him ripping his overshirt off, and we see the S symbol basically declaring that the world needs a Superman again. During the gravesite scene with Clark eulogizing again the New 52 Superman, he does go to touch the ground, and his handprint on the ground turns blue, or starts glowing blue or something. And he remembers Mr. Oz from the Superman Rebirth special, talking about how he and his family, Superman and his family, are not what they think they are. So it's kind of an allusion to that. So it's really the only connection as far as that, to the possible connection with the Watchmen that we see in this book. I probably wouldn't look for that too much in these books going forward. So we get to the barn being burnt at the Kent farm, or the Smith farm, whatever they're called now. And Jonathan is all happy because he can help Dad with rebuilding the barn and cleanup and everything, and being able to use his superpowers. The parents warn him of overuse of his powers, but so Jonathan goes out to fill the corn harvester, had run out of gas, so he's running out into the fields to do that with his cat Goldie. And this is kind of like one of those sad moments in the book. I told my wife about it, and I think she almost started crying, even though it was a cartoon cat. But a bird flies down. This is after Clark and Lois remind Jonathan to be careful about the use of his powers. This eagle flies down and grabs up Goldie. Jonathan gets so upset chasing after this eagle trying to save his cat that his heat vision activates. He uses it, but it goes on overload and obliterates the eagle and obliterates the cat. So we unfortunately see this dead cat on the ground. A little graphic, I would think, the depiction of it. So I could have done a little bit without that. I could have been fine with just the illusion that he killed the cat, but it upsets him. But we also see this blonde little girl out in the field as well, who had to have seen everything happen. The little girl runs off. Jonathan's upset. He goes back to the house, doesn't want to help Clark with helping with the barn rebuild and everything. He's not into doing it now. And then we get to dinner time. While the Kents are eating dinner around the table, they get a knock on the door, and it's the little girl who saw Jonathan. Jonathan's a little shocked, not only just because this girl his age is over, you know, how boys are when they have to interact with girls at 10 years old, but I think it's more the fact that he's embarrassed and trying to figure out if she's going to say something about him using his powers in public. She doesn't. She goes off, and then he obviously gets upset with Lois and Clark about the fact that he's got to hide his identity and he can't really be friends with people because he has to hide what he is. And I'm kind of wondering if this little girl, I'm hoping it's nothing nefarious really, but I'm really hoping this little girl is going to be Jonathan's Lana Lang, essentially. This little girl's name is Kathy Brandon, so I'm really hoping that she's going to be like a Lana Lang figure to Jonathan, much as was needed for Clark when he was growing up. Just someone, another character his age that we can see that is going to let Jonathan be himself, not have to hide himself from the world. Kind of wondering if that's the way they're going to go with this character, if that's going to translate over into the Super Sons series with Jonathan and Damian. So we'll have to see how that rolls out. So Jonathan is upset over having to tell lies to people. He gets sent to his room by Clark. Later that night, he overhears bits and pieces of a conversation. This is where we kind of get into a little bit of crossover with, I'm assuming, the Justice League book that's going to be coming out, or at least possible setup for that. Wonder Woman and Batman show up to speak with this new Clark Kent, basically talking about the fact that they're trying to reach out to him, that he's still estranged with them. They really don't know him, despite the fact that he is Clark Kent, that they've known a Clark Kent all their life, for the last however many years. Worried about how dangerous the sun is and everything. Clark realizes that Jonathan is listening in on the conversation. Wonder Woman and Batman go away, and then we just get a one-page look at Clark, who's standing in Jonathan's doorway saying, calmly and quietly, let's go. So you don't know where they're going, and the way Clark looks, it's like very nefarious and ominous, but most likely I'm sure he's going to be, I'm assuming, taking some trip to the fortress in the next issue. I'm trying to stay away from actual solicitations so I can be as surprised as other people when the books come out. So I'm not sure what issue 2 is going to be doing. I just know it's continuation of the story, obviously. They really set this issue up to be a very, that Jonathan's in trouble. So, which I don't think it is, but that's where we're left at the end of this issue here. But I think Jonathan will be okay. Overall, I think this issue is good. I like the fact that this creative team is back together and working on a father-son book. I know that's going to be one of the main themes of this Superman series, as opposed to Action Comics, which is just going to center around Clark Kent and bringing the action to Action Comics. This book is going to more tie in with Superman's relationship to his son. I do wish there was a little bit more continuity in the books between Action Comics and Superman. I'm not saying we need to have triangle numbering going back and forth between the two books, but it's my one gripe that I've always had with multiple books for one character, in that it's just trying to figure out where books, especially in the last decade where they, continuity has been sparse between books, just trying to figure out what that character is doing in the different books and how the different stories mesh together. This storyline will continue obviously into issue number 2, which should be out the first week of July. This is going to be one of those DC books that is shipping twice a month, so just remember that when you're going into the comic store. So let me know what you guys think about this. Were you as mortified as I was at the fate of Goldie the cat? Do you think Superman has some nefarious plan for his son, or was that just baiting readers for the next issue? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, as well as let me know what you think about the new direction for Superman, as well as all the super books in the Rebirth line. And we only got 2 so far, but let me know what your thoughts so far are on the new direction for Superman. Just like to thank you guys for tuning into this review. Make sure you like this video and subscribe to the channel. If you want to get with me on social media, I've got my links down below, and I will see you guys in the next review. Later.